right, welcome to Toddy Talk. Welcome to a type of episode that we'll be doing after losses called Second Guess Lane. Sort of a new segment, but really going to be pretty much the whole show, where we'll, again, very respectfully, and I'm about to talk about that, but calmly reflect, look at where the errors might have been, sort of give you my take on what I saw and what I saw went wrong. To start, have to absolutely just condemn the horrible abuse against Mateus Tell. I'm going to talk about it. I do think that Tell being subbed in was not the right tactical move. I think there's room for sports criticism, but the thing that we're seeing commonly, unfortunately nowadays, of just absolutely horrible, racist, terrible abuse online is just, it's ridiculous, and it just needs to stop. So whatever needs to be done, please do that. But getting on to the sports commentary, which is what we want, I really thought, if you play chess, the end game is a whole different thing, and clearly Tottenham lost in the end game, and I think I'm going to put it on Thomas Frank today and some decisions that he made. So really want to think of the players as pieces, really from a chess tactical point of view, because that game, and let's start with the positives. Tottenham's system was incredible. As Thomas Frank said, in medical terms, the operation was successful, the patient died. The way that Tottenham played, let's say for the first 80 minutes, before the system sort of became a little panicky and broke apart, was amazing. And what was amazing was the focus and commitment from the players throughout the first half, and really up until that 80th minute. Obviously tired legs are going to come into that, whatever, but the huge positive is that this team made themselves better. They were greater than the sum of its parts, right? And that was a fantastic thing. Couple of things that I wrote down. Jed Spence on Hakimi. That was incredible. Happy for Jed Spence and the way he has grown and had the opportunity, starting with Postecoglou, and now it looks like he is really ascending into a role that I think a lot of people, I know I'm definitely one of them, wanted him to get the opportunity to be. So super excited about that. Kudus is just an absolute beast, and you couldn't watch that first half as a Spurs fan and not say, like, this guy deserves to be on this stage, this European, obviously this was a UEFA tournament or a UEFA trophy. So, just had the aesthetic of their banner and stuff. It just, there's something that brings to the game, and I'm sure that it is true for the players as well. And so Kudus just fit on that stage. It was awesome to see. The set pieces, the focus and diligence, time that was taken, and obviously both goals were scored on set pieces, is just a fantastic thing. So those things are just so positive, because we got Burnley on Saturday, not worried about that. We'll see. I did see a funny post that was like, we lose to Burnley 3-1 and then we win to City the following week, which would be a very Spursy thing to do. But I think, here's the thing. I know the loss to PSG is Spursy. Let's try to take all that out of there and say, listen, this team could have unlocked at any time. When Goncalo, or whatever his name, Ramos, came on, you had to know that guy was going to score. That's what he's done for PSG all year. He's a super sub. He always comes in and scores, especially in this tournament. So, it's an extension of the Champions League, right? So that did not surprise me when Ramos scored. When he came in, I literally said, I was like, well, he's going to score a goal. Unfortunately, that league goal happened as well. But so the other thing I'll just say for a positive before we go is Christian Romero is a captain. He still has his players back. He's still a fiery just dog out there, but definitely felt like there was an air of control. And I thought when he went down with cramp in that last minute to get us to penalties, let's be honest, if PSG had one more attack, they were probably scoring. So I thought that was him being in the finals and showing his worth in terms of that. And obviously they didn't go your way, but there was a chance there. So talking about the keys for me, and that's what was so disappointing, was obviously Tell, and take the penalty out of it. Okay, like everyone getting on about the penalty, take the penalty out of it. The moment, and again, I'm going to take a step back and say that Tell should not have been subbed in. This was a frank mistake. But the moment where I felt like, oh gosh, this could be really bad, was before the first goal. And it was, I know if you watched it with me, it was the Tell reckless foul, maybe 2 or 3 feet out of the top of the 18. Obviously a dangerous free kick. It didn't lead to anything necessarily, but that moment felt like, oh no, like the system that, and again, Frank has used this word a lot. The reason the Spurs played so well is because the belief in their system provided them with a calmness, and it really felt like the players could stay in a calm place. After Tell made that foul, it just felt like it rattled the cage a little bit and things started to unravel. So for me, again, like, I don't want to put it solely on Tell. That to me was a moment that I thought was really poor in terms of him. Like, look, I don't think you were the one who should be subbed in. I'm about to talk about that, but that foul was crazy. I mean, that was, again, as a teacher in like teacher grad school, they talk about like times where teachers lose their mind. And that to me was like dude, like, one of the things that you saw, if you were really looking, was the Spurs were standing up, standing strong, and being ready to react either way. And that was like one of those moments where you're like, whoa, like, this isn't the system. This isn't the system. So let's go to Frank and that subbing him, because exactly, you did it, Frank. You took Magnus Carlsen to an end game. You had no business doing that, but your system worked. What you decided for that day had worked. You got to sub out. I even forget who went off for Tell. Okay. You got Brennan Johnson on the bench. Brennan Johnson played in the Europa League final. I had said in my preview episode that I didn't want him to get preferential treatment with the starting lineup, but oh man, in the spot that you were in, so little time left, and I don't know, but my memory from the Bayern game is a couple of times where Brennan Johnson is tracking back like a flippin' gazelle to get back and play defense. So much rather see Brennan Johnson over Tell. If not Brennan Johnson, how about Ben Davis? You went 5 in the back. Now, listen, the lineup that came out before the game was sort of Jed Spence in the left wing position. Obviously, you probably weren't, you didn't necessarily think you were going to get that. Oh, man. It just feels like you're up 2 goals. So you can't be putting Tell in thinking about penalties. There's no way that was part of the consideration at 2 up. So you thought Tell was going to do the best job at that sort of like being part of the defensive structure, but also being creative enough to maybe hold up the play and, whatever. I just think it was a really poor decision, and Frank let himself down in that moment. And listen, like, again, I take away the penalty. Like, the penalty was what it was. Van der Ven took an even worse penalty before then, and I'm sorry, when Van der Ven missed, like, and this graphic that you'll see I'll put up right here, I made last night because I wanted to look at what the Spurs penalty taking was. I thought, all right, let's look at FIFA. Let's take a look. It's rough. I mean, as you can see, it's rough here. Solanke obviously went first. He's the best. Benton Kerr, they both took beautiful penalties. To me, Porro is the logical third. So I was a little confused with, when I saw Van der Ven, I mean, I didn't know it was 39 up FIFA, my lord. But I thought, like, ooh, okay. Tough penalty. You can understand why he stood up to take it. Good for him. Unfortunate, the execution. And you got to give Tell credit. I mean, when you look at your options, Gray, Bergvall, Danzo, Romero. I know people are talking about Romero, but I mean, if the cramp was real at the end of the game, he might just not have been feeling good for a penalty. So it's a real again, that's where like the penalties let's put to the side. But again, I think when you decided to put in, and let's talk about Oda Bear is another one that, again, I know Tell is like up and coming, but he's 20 years old. He was 19 in April. His birthday was in April, so he's just such a young guy. So that on second guess lane today, that is my main takeaway. My main conclusion here is that fantastic masterclass game played against a stronger opponent, but you let yourself down in the end game with a substitution that I just think was wrong. And everything that happens after, it can't be that surprising looking at it in retrospect. And again, to me, Brennan Johnson is the obvious answer in that situation. I didn't get a chance to look at his penalty score, but I'm sure it's representative. And he's, for Nottingham Forest and his other teams, I'm sure he's taken a couple. So just again, absolutely condemn all the negativity around Tell, because it's bad faith argument, and it gets away from the true issue, which was, I think, a tactical one in a game that is where it was because of incredible tactical planning. That substitution was a move that, again, if we were to put it in the chess machine, in the chess computer, I think that move would be a blunder, in my opinion, because it just isn't putting the right piece in the right place, given the situation where you have again, Brennan Johnson would be the number 1 for me. Ben Davis would be 2. I would even put Oda Bear in over Tell. And again, it's only because Tell is so young, and I just think he has a long way to go before he's really ready to contribute meaningfully. And again, that's why, to me, that move is the second guess. It is not about, again, Tell and his play necessarily, because I think he was giving an assignment that is not something that he, in his style, is suited to, or in his career and experience was ready for. Tough one. We'll have a preview of Burnley coming up. What's that, Saturday? Maybe in a couple of days. We'll see. Actually, I have a bachelor party, so probably not. But I do want to say thank you to everyone. We've reached 100 followers in like just over a week on Instagram, which is fantastic. We'll be coming to you all year. So, hey, great start. I know the final result is very difficult, but fantastic start against the best team in the world right now. And again, kudos to Thomas Frank, and kudos to the players for believing in each other and showing an amazing ability to take a plan, commit to it, and show an intense amount of focus. And I hope that Frank takes out of this, again, just an overlooked opportunity to put in a veteran, really a starter in Brennan Johnson, and just finish it out. Or again, a veteran in Ben Davis who can show a little more calmness and composure. That's the blunder. We'll see you next time.